Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nidus Anarchy series. I'm your host and CIO of Nidus, Adam Callan, the Amazing. Today we're going to talk about what's going on in the world of cybersecurity. We got 5 articles that I think are super important for everyone to know. We got one that's talking about Microsoft and how people are breaching its OAuth protocol to set up crypto mining bots under your account. That's huge. There's a Bluetooth hack out there that affects pretty much every phone. That's pretty crazy. There's a patch out. We'll talk about that one. We have Microsoft's final patch of all the different vulnerabilities that are coming out for the end of the year. So there's a couple neat ones in there that we want to make sure we patch up. North Korea is continuing to break into servers left and right using the log4j exploits, but they're doing it en masse right now. So if you haven't patched that, you're going to want to do that. We'll go into that a little bit. And lastly, we have a 5G hack. So someone's figured out a way to hack the 5G antennas, and that trickles all the way down to pretty much every type of cell phone out there. We'll tell you about what's going on there. So first, let's talk about Microsoft's final patch. So Microsoft released their final 2023 patch on Tuesday. They fixed 33 flaws, and 4 of them being super critical. The most important ones, based on the severity score, this is from the CVE, the biggest ones we have, there's one that affects the ICS, Internet Connection Sharing, Remote Code Execution Vulnerability. That one's pretty brutal. ODBC, Driver Remote Code Execution Vulnerability, also pretty big. But the biggest one, which I think is pretty interesting, is the Microsoft Power Platform Connector Spoofing Vulnerability. It's significant because it allows the attacker to send a specifically crafted URL to the target, resulting in the execution of malicious scripts in the victim's browser on their machine. So basically, someone can just send you a well-crafted URL, and then they can execute code on your machine through the browser. So this could easily be done through spoofing, phishing attacks, and things along those lines. They are seeing this in the wild, so people are actively exploiting this, so you should download that. The CVE is CVE 2023-36019. I think that's probably the most important one that you probably want to get fixed right away. Next up is going to be the 5G modem flaws. So there's a group 5 Ghoul, and they've come out and with the Qualcomm and what was the other one? MediaTek. So for their radios, they found some exploits to be able to basically kind of DDoS phones and brick them down to 4G or make them just completely unresponsive. It's kind of like the whole man-in-the-middle Stingray type stuff, but there are patches out there, but it's going to take, they're saying, up to 6 months to fully patch all the radios and then push these OTA updates down. So you're going to see updates for your phone and others over the next 6 months to fix this vulnerability. It's not something you probably have to worry about too much. It's probably more state actors that are attacking cell phone towers and that kind of nature. Not really breaching your phone, but it will obviously cause a problem. The Lazarus Group, which is the North Korean attacker group, they're running full force with the log4j vulnerability. They have a new malware that's just been going around and finding everyone that still hasn't patched it yet, and they're getting into all their systems. They're estimating about 2.5% of all the log4j installations out there still have not been patched. I can personally tell you, I know for sure there are definitely large enterprises that think, oh, we're fine because it's behind the firewall. You need to break that mentality because you're going to have North Korea in your systems real time fast. So Lazarus Group, not a good group to have in your system, right? So patch your log4j. This has been out for over 2 years now. You should have already had this patched. If not, you need to get it patched now or just get it off your system. This one I thought was pretty cool. So Microsoft has put out a big warning saying that attackers are now breaching OAuth protocols to spin up VMs and cloud instances to strictly mine cryptocurrencies. And then obviously for other things like further virus propagation and stuff. But the big thing is this. Attackers are basically using phishing, scamming, whatever they can do to get a OAuth credential. So therefore, they can SSO in as you into your Azure environment. It's really, they don't really say Azure or Entra ID, whatever you want to call it now. But that is really what this article is about, right? So people are basically sending emails to people say, hey, click on this link, do this stuff, and they're granting an OAuth session to these remote attackers. From there, they gain access, and then it's all automated, right? So then it spins up a bunch of VMs and just start mining cryptocurrency, and you're paying for it. So this was pretty cool, just because I think it's kind of crafty in a neat way, and obviously they're doing it not from necessarily purely malicious techniques, but, to make some money. So this again comes back to phishing. You need to educate your people and make sure they're not clicking on links. Also, you can check what systems you have connected via OAuth if you're the administrator of these backend systems. So really, you should have kind of a governance protocol in place where you kind of regularly go through and validate that all these things really need to exist, kill them, have them reassociate as necessary. Some good practices we can do there as well. Lastly, this one's pretty rad. So there's a huge Bluetooth flaw in the actual spec of Bluetooth itself for unauthenticated devices, for users, or attackers I should say, to connect to a phone and issue keyboard commands to it. So basically what they're doing is they're connecting to your phone in an unauthenticated way as a keyboard, and then issuing a ton of commands in an automated fashion, kind of like the rubber ducky. We talked about that a little bit while ago, that USB thing you just plug in and it runs. Now they're doing it over Bluetooth. So with this Bluetooth hack, which again affects the spec, not the actual phones themselves, so therefore everyone that has Bluetooth, and I think they're saying as far back as 2012 for device-wise, are vulnerable. Apple has already released out a patch for this, so make sure you upgrade for the latest and greatest there. But it's actually pretty neat. One thing though is for Apple devices, I believe it's only susceptible for them if you've already connected a Magic Keyboard, like this. So I'm susceptible. So I need to make sure I'm patched up to the latest and greatest. But yeah, it's pretty rad. They're connecting to Bluetooth through an unauthenticated method. And then from there, they're able to drop themselves into basically root ownership of your phone and take over from there. So Bluetooth is freaky. So if you haven't patched your phone and you have sensitive stuff on your phone, turn Bluetooth off and absolutely do not allow connections, but you don't really even know what's happening. All they got to do is be near you within, I don't know, about 4-5 feet, and they can connect to your phone. So upgrade, place those patches, and you'll be safe. I'll see you guys around. Later.